Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Welcome. Y'all take a breath because this episode's going to be jarring. Today's timely topic is jar magic, and you're here with the conjuring crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Well, welcome back, guys.
This is Brenda here. This is Chandra here.
Camille,
Lynn.
And Aaron. We're so glad to have you here again with us. So today we are talking about, Lynn and I are still sharing a mic this episode, so I'm getting a chin full.
That's what she said.
That's right. So today we're talking about jar magic, which is something that Camille, Chandra, Brenda, and myself had an interest in, but did not know too much about and wanted to learn more. And thankfully, Lynn was our foster failure. She was our first ever super witch, and we adopted her. We thought, girl, you are literally one of us. A blue bee. So come on to the podcast. Give this girl a mic. So thankfully, she's our resident jar magic witch. I had an issue earlier this year with a person or a family that really needed to die. But instead, Lynn actually made a jar spell and put them in the freezer. And I thought, that is incredible. And so,
I mean, not them literally.
No, not them literally. No. Just the jar itself, right?
And we're all like, teach us how, Lynn. Teach us how.
Yes, teach us your wicked ways. But jar magic can also be used for good things like abundance, love, courage, emotional ease, etc. So we go to Lynn's house, and to set the scene, we walk into her kitchen, and Lynn always has a fabulous spread.
Lynn is the host, the extra hostess,
And
mostest.
There's such a loving, warm, welcome energy anytime you're in Lynn's presence. But when you walk into her domain, her house, are you freaking kidding me? And around a holiday like Halloween or Christmas or whatever, like it's just insane. So we walk in, there's a spread of tons of just
Herbs.
A table full of herbs.
Crystals.
Supplies.
On top of that, and candles to melt the wax to put once you've put everything in your jar.
Mason jars.
Yes. On top of that, there's an explanation for each and every herb for what it
We
could be
had
used
index cards.
Yes. Yeah.
For every single herb.
I mean,
It was magical.
it was jar magic for dummies.
She's quite the teacher.
She really is. Oh, look at that baby. So I'm going to swing my mic over to Lynn to give her a chin full so that she can talk about the setup, the process, what she taught us, and what we've experienced after that magical jar magic brunch. Lynn, take it away.
Okay, so first of all, don't be telling my secrets.
Sorry.
Just the fans.
It works.
So, Lynn, in case there's somebody out there who doesn't know what jar magic is, can you just give them like a little quick definition of what it is and why you do it and what you do and what it means?
Yes, so jar magic is jars with intention. And I've been making them for a very long time. And don't forget, we made the witch balls as well, because you can use anything glass, or you can use a plastic bag if necessary, if you don't have a jar.
If you can't find a jar, you just throw that stuff in a plastic
Jar
bag.
magic on a budget.
I'm sorry, and I don't like Katy Perry, but I heard, do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? And it's just like these herbs flowing out the bottom.
Oh, never a dull moment at the OMG podcast. But you can improvise with whatever you have, like, because it's all about intention. Now I can't talk because Aaron over here being the class clown.
Sorry.
So we had jars and we had glass ornaments type things that you can take the top off and you can put your ingredients down into that. So each herb has a different vibration it holds. It holds a different intention. And so there's a really good book I have by Scott Cunningham. You can also look them up online if you don't have a book. if you want to make an abundance jar, for instance, you just pick out all of your herbs, and I also have oils, and you can drip some oil in it. And I guess we could probably put maybe a recipe or two up on
That's a great idea.
the podcast website, or maybe in the show notes.
We can have them in the show notes. Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
put them in the show notes. We're happy to do that. So once you finish putting your ingredients into the jar, you can close it and seal it with wax, or you can use twine or ribbon or whatever you want to use, and put it in your house. And do we want to talk about the astral jar we did?
Yes.
Okay, y'all.
Whose
Now,
idea was that?
it was mine.
Okay.
Okay, Aaron, so y'all can't hear him because we're sharing the mic and I'm hogging it right now.
Well, so to set the scene, picture it.
Okay.
We have all done our own little personal jar spells at this point. Love and abundance. We did happy home. We did
Prosperity.
We did spiritual awakening. Everybody's got their own little jar magic. And then Miss Hostess with the most just goes, why don't we do an astral travel jar? And then, and I'll take responsibility for what is mine. And I said, so I said, let's all do the same one.
Yes.
And we proceed into, Lynn?
I was having a sip of wine.
Shocker.
So then we made some jars.
So we all grabbed a jar and we used the same ingredients. And then we all took them home and put them under our beds.
Da, 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 da.
And so who wants to start?
I still got mine under the bed, and my dreams are so freaking crazy.
Mine too. And I keep saying, I'm going to move that out from under my bed because I'm tired in the morning when I get
Right.
up. Because I walked 250 miles last night. But I still keep it under there, though.
Mine's out from under the bed because
Is it?
4 nights of waking up at 4:44, I'm like, baby,
Mama's tapping out.
baby needs some beauty rest.
So who wants to tell the dream that we had all the same, like a theme the same night with the airport and the travel? And
I mean, I guess I got my notes right here, so I'll
Do
give
you
it.
write yours down?
I did write mine down.
I should have written mine down.
So, okay, we did this at the end of December.
December.
So we did it on the 30th and that night. So when I woke up the 31st, which whatever, I might not have been asleep. I'm not sure. So the first thing I wrote down was airports, elevators, and portals, shiny clothes, and Melissa Sparrow.
Yeah.
So Melissa, if you're listening, shout out. So I literally dreamed that I was in an airport, but it was funny because I think my brother might have been there too. And there was these like beautiful, yummy pastries that were everywhere. And y'all know I'm hungry all the time. So whatever. But I was walking through the airport and then I was on an elevator, and y'all, my sister-in-law who passed away in 2017 was there. And she was like, I'm not dead. And I was like, I know. And so, which just,
No.
the body might die, but the soul never does.
Right.
So. And then I was trying to book a flight at the last minute, but the screen was hazed over, so I didn't know where I was going, and I was still getting on the plane. And I got
Talk
on it
about
anyway.
surrender.
Talk about surrender. So there was a lot that went on that night, but one of the most interesting things, and everybody can tell their story, but we were all at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But because Melissa Sparrow was at the airport, and she didn't make a jar. So I texted her and I was like, Melissa, just so you know, here's what happened. And she said, oh my goodness. She set the intention that night to travel in the astral realm. And she did a light language transmission to take her out there. And although she didn't remember what she dreamed that night, that was just validation for her that she was out in the astral travel with all of us.
She was hanging out with us.
She was hanging out because we're cool like that.
And she was like, Lord, what did I do?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going back. So somebody else can take it away now.
Well, I've had so many dreams that I barely even remember what I dreamed that night, but I do remember dreaming about being in the airport in like the concourse area with Mike. And that's how I remember, because I've had every single night has been like weird stuff, either like heavy duty
Same.
or just really bizarre. There was one dream I had that I want to share, but I think we need to stay on the topic right now of that night. So who else had the airport dream? Aaron?
I didn't write mine down that night, but one of the things I remember when I woke up, it was like it felt, each time I've had these dreams, it feels like a jolt back into my body as I wake up. And I immediately think either write down or text it to y'all. So I woke up thinking, oh my gosh, I need to text the girls, because we as we made our jar, we set the intention to travel together, right? And so when I woke up the next morning, I thought, oh my gosh, what I remember is I was in an airport, and I've never flown before, I've been in an airport, but never flown. And so Camille and I actually had a conversation at the Jar Magic brunch about a situation she had recently on her trip to Texas that she can talk about maybe soon, with this sweet little old lady who kind of used her as like a guide, I would say, like to help her kind of get through, and was very sweet. And so I think that might have been kind of in my subconscious as I was falling asleep. But in any case, not to put logic to magic, but in the dream, I was in the airport and Christian had gone to the bathroom or gone to grab something, maybe our luggage. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where I am. I don't know how to read these gates. I don't know where the flight number is. Like, I have my ticket, and I'm like starting to panic. And then I just see Camille, sweet Camille, come up, and she has like these 4 random hodgepodge people. Like, there's like an old woman. There's like this tall, looks like teenager, maybe, different like races and all different kinds of clothes. And she's like, Aaron? I'm like, Camille, can you help me? I don't know where we're going. And she said, just join my island of misfit toys, And so, but that happened in the airport. And so when I woke up the next morning, there were like 23 text messages in the group and I was like, oh, okay, well, bitch has been traveling. Okay. And so then that's when I told y'all what happened and went back and read all the others. And we found out that we all 5, even though I think 1 or 2 of us may not remember it, but I think most of us do, were in that airport, which is super cool. So that's what I remember from that night in that dream.
So Camille, did you dream of the airport, the actual airport?
That's the thing. Out of everybody, I was the only person who didn't have an airport dream per se. As a former travel agent, I imagine I was sick of all of that. But I also traveled recently, and I kind of got, into my head and was talking to Spirit and said, hey, I feel like I'm a conduit or a guide for something. Give me some clear signs that this is true. So I get on my flight and I sit next to this lady who's deaf, and she's got her hearing aids in and she can hear a little bit, and her vision is also a little bit impaired. She talked about how this was just her second flight, and the last time someone helped her change planes, and she was kind of nervous when we got to Atlanta. Where should she go? Okay, well, come along. I'll help you get to the train. Okay, so that was nice. And then after I landed back at home, I'm standing there waiting for my luggage, and I look over and there's this wallet sitting on a seat and no one around it. So I took it up to Lost and Found, and they found the guy immediately, and he was hugely grateful. And it's almost like Spirit was just kind of tapping me like, you're here to help. You're here to guide. I don't quite know exactly what for right now, but I got what I needed to hear. And everyone else had these airport dreams, and it was a trip. I had a actual experience. I don't tend to remember my dreams, but lately with that jar under my bed, y'all, it's on.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like a pot of neck bones.
Don't know where that came from.
Neck bone.
I don't know what to say now.
I'm just sitting over here in a purple vortex.
So my airport dream is going to be very anticlimactic now.
Don't discredit baby, because yours is your.
Well, I was like, I didn't dream about an airport either. The dream I had is I kept walking through different buildings, and I was looking for someone in particular, although I don't know who that was. And I remember seeing a pool, and there were like people in the pool, and I was wanting to get in the water, but afraid to get in the water. And something made me describe one of the buildings I was in. And Aaron goes, you were at the airport. That's exactly what I saw. And I was like, oh, I was there. At some point, someone gave me a white bikini, and I'm carrying around this white bikini. And I keep thinking, I need to go now. I can get in the water. I need to go back. I need to find that pool. And I kept, looking around. I couldn't get back to that place. And that's when, in reminiscing about that and thinking about it, that's where I got the whole being seen message where it started.
Especially in a bikini. Because, girl, we
I'd
over
like,
50.
did I pack my razor? Holy crap.
But, just the whole vulnerability of, of being seen. Yeah.
Okay. I just put something together.
Okay.
Let me get up here in this mic.
Get my seatbelt on. Hold on.
So, Chandra, you dreamed about the white bikini, which is kind of like clothing. Did you dreamed about clothing too? Did you say something about clothing in yours?
It felt like Christian went to go grab our luggage, like it's like our stuff was missing, which I guess would be like clothing related.
Okay. So there was a lot of dreaming with me about clothing in that dream, and everybody had on shiny clothes. So I find that interesting that we all, in some form of fashion, were dreaming about some kind of clothes. We need to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Erin is...
Sorry, that's what the other one, I'm like wagging my finger. Yes, because we're sharing like, that was the other one, was that the clothes were so striking and indicated the differences in the people that Camille was helping. Mm-hmm. And that I added to that island of misfit toys that didn't know where the hell we were going. And Camille's like, I have you, like this higher self Camille with flowy white clothes.
Further
like
confirmation from spirit.
Yeah.
Amen.
And Lynn, weren't your clothes like party clothes? Everybody was in like cocktail dresses.
Yes,
and
everyone was dressed up like big event party clothes is what I have written in mine. So there has to be something to that.
Yeah, for sure. And clothes is kind of a mask we wear on our bodies. I don't know. We'll have to dive into that a little bit.
We need to meditate on that one for sure.
But the whole jar magic thing, I will say, ever since having that astral travel jar under my bed, there have been some action dreams without a doubt, astral traveling dreams. And I know that there are jars for so many other things, Lynn. We did prosperity, love, abundance.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to connect to my intuition and connect with the blue beings.
Nice.
And I've had some very interesting experiences since then.
So let's put a pin in that. And if you all want to travel to your fridge real quick while we take a quick break, grab your favorite snack, beverage, and come on back, and we'll talk about the other uses of jar magic. See you all on the other side.
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. When you hydrate with Liquid IV, you're powered by Hydroscience. Hydroscience is Liquid IV's science-backed formula with an optimized ratio of electrolytes, vitamins, and nutrients. Experience great-tasting hydration for mental clarity, physical endurance, and overall well-being. Sip into something that up-levels every moment. Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Visit us at liquidiv.com.
Okay, we're back, and the topic is jar magic. I just want to make everyone feel like they were there with us when we walked into Lynn's house. There had to be at least 30 containers of various things that you could use for a jar spell. The one that really took me aback was the graveyard dirt, but of course I dove in and used some. There was sage, there was moss, there was a bowl of tiny crystals of all colors. Cinnamon sticks, spices, herbs, oils. It was amazing and it was endless. And that's all I have to say. I just want to make you guys feel like you were there.
So, okay. Now, Camille's going to talk about graveyard dirt. There's a number of uses with that. But graveyard dirt is very protective, but please don't go digging graveyards without.
We don't advocate that.
Yeah, no, please don't. Unless you ask permission from the person's grave that you are digging it from, or if it's one of your loved ones. Yeah. So I'm looking at Camille going, oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy, but that's okay.
Nah.
So yeah, there's a whole lot of different herbs you can do. So I think we all did like an abundance spell. So you can do abundance, you can do prosperity. Abundance comes in many forms. It can be an abundance of love. It can be an abundance of friendships. And it's the same with love. Like if you're looking for love, you can do one for romantic love. But more than that, you need to do one for yourself. You need to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you're probably not going to draw anyone to you that's good for you. So
cliche, but true.
Yeah. But there's an Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and it is by Scott Cunningham, and I don't get paid for endorsement of any of this. It's just a book that I have that I love. So if you're interested in doing a jar of magic, you can find all the information in there for all the herbs.
Can you give us just a few that we use that were good for things like cayenne is good for?
Well, kind of.
for lighting a fire.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. So, yeah, like one of my favorite things to use is High John the Conqueror. And
Who?
High John the
Conqueror.
Conqueror. Am I saying that right?
No, you are. I'm like, that's just a big name for an herb.
It is. But now I use the root. It's the root. I actually have the root, and I have a dollar bill wrapped around it, and it's in my money bowl. But it is of the element of fire, so it lights a fire to bring that money in quickly. But it also, you can use it for money, love, success, or happiness. And I also have the oil. I have High John the Conqueror. That is a mouthful.
It is.
Oil. And I think we used just some drops of that in the jars because, we didn't have the root for that. But you can use that. I grow a lot of herbs, so I have like some oregano and some lavender and all that kind of stuff. And I have to, we all have to look this up because my mind just don't hold all this stuff.
That's a lot of information.
It's too much information, and I got too much else to look at. So,
sage is good for protection.
Sage is good for protection. I also had I think I had black salt out, didn't I?
I think so.
Black salt is very protective. And I always like to put like a protective herb in my jars just to keep it protected. We also had a lot of moss out. I had a box of moss, and it's for luck and money as well. What else did I have? I had some cedar, and I have to like really go through this book really quickly. And
we're thumbing through the book.
I'm like, where's the
cinnamon sticks and bay leaves?
Yes,
and cloves.
All of that. So the cedar is good for healing and purification and money and protection. But okay, so let's talk about the dream jar real quick. The one thing that we had in that dream jar was white willow bark.
Giddy up.
Y'all, that
No joke.
Yeah.
That stuff is no joke.
It's no joke. So I don't even know if it's in this book. I bought that a while back. But it is for astral,
astral realms.
Yeah, it's for the astral realms. It's not even in this book. But be careful if y'all using that. Because
we've been traveling. That's all I'm going to say.
We've been traveling. And I think we also, did we put star anise in that?
Yes.
Because that is also for astral travel. I think we also used a length of blue ribbon to call in the blue beings to help us travel.
Yes, we did.
So, yeah.
And I have never really my dreams have to be very, very vivid for me to remember anything the next day. It's like I can tell I've dreamed, but usually I have no recollection of what or how or where.
Or you wake up, think of it, go back to sleep, and then it's gone.
And it's gone.
Yep.
Right. For as long as I kept the jar, and I will put it back. I just needed to rest up. But for as long as I had the jar under the bed, remembered dreams every night, and there was always someone from the other side that visited in the dream. Like there was always some dead person and I felt like they were visits, but it was some of them were people I knew 30 years ago that I haven't thought about in ages, but they were still in the dream and they were very, very vivid and would actually play a part in it. It wasn't just like I saw them, but they would play a part in the dream. So I found that really interesting since I'm not really one to remember dreams at all anyway.
I got something to say. Is that okay?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I wanted to tell y'all about the one dream that I had that was so crazy. I dreamed that I was standing outside of this apartment complex. Y'all know I was raised real religious, but the church.
What?
Yeah. But it was a Seventh-day Adventist church. Not throwing shade on any particular religion. That was just the religion that I grew up under. And in my dream, I was outside of this apartment complex. My mom and dad were there. And of course, they're Seventh-day Adventists. And the Seventh-day Adventist church was right next to this apartment complex. And I am standing outside and it's daytime and they're standing there next to me. And suddenly it becomes darkish and there's 2 moons in the sky and there's like so many stars. And I just remember the feeling of like, oh my God, this is just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was just like that feeling of awe that you get. And I was talking to my parents. I was like, there's 2 moons in the sky. And they're like, no, that's not there. Or, very dismissive. And I was so excited. So then I start running around this apartment complex and I'm yelling at everybody, there's 2 moons in the sky, people, like, wake up, come out and see this. It's so cool. And then I'm like, now there's 2 suns in the sky. And this one woman gets my attention from her apartment and she's like, wait, come over here. And so I went into her apartment and she was like a costume designer and she had all these costumes on like body forms in her apartment. And she was wearing one. It was like all sequiny. And anyway, that was really weird. But I sit down and I'm looking at her like cabinet credenza thing. And she's got all these pictures of my family. Like when we were younger, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, my dad, my siblings, but we were all like kids. And I was like, why do you have pictures of my family? She was like, well, I know your brother, blah, 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 blah. And so then had this whole dream about the magic of the universe and the Seventh-day Adventist Church being outside and my parents being there. And then I wake up the next morning to this very religious text from my mother. So I think it was Spirit giving me a little, don't forget the magic, don't be triggered by this. But of course it was. So, but it was just like the most magical thing to see the 2 moons in the sky and all the stars. I was like, oh.
And let's just, add a side note to that there were clothes in that dream.
That's true.
Well, there weren't no clothes in this dream, y'all. So put yours on and buckle up.
Were you naked?
I don't know. I don't think so. I got that robe from Chandra, baby, and the slippers from Lynn. So I had a dream recently, and we did all put a blue piece of fabric or a blue thread or ribbon in our astral jar for the blue beings. I think we talked about them several times in the podcast that show up in spirit circles, but they are kind of like our galactic guides. We work with them a lot. They come through a lot in meditation. They often come through with messages from Joanna the Healer. Shout out, girl, we love you, and her team. And so I had this dream where I astral traveled with the blue beings. And so in the dream, there was this white ectoplasm cloud sort of above me. And it was like I felt my spirit leave my body and go up through that to travel to this huge white room, which Chandra and I texted about the next day. And she's like, does it look like this? Does it look like this? I'm like, oh my God, this is literally exactly what it looks like, this one specific picture. Because of course. But anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night from that dream and just wrote in a note on my phone what was channeled from the blue beings, from the Pleiadians. And it was, this is in your notes app on your phone, it probably is 3 to 4 pages. So for whatever reason, I feel like Spirit pulled me to this one specific paragraph that can kind of reach the collective. But this is, once I was in this white room, the blue beings were behind this door and they told me all of this in addition to the several other pages. But they said, no, really. They just booped away. Come on, Spirit, don't play with me like this. So sorry. Here we go. Now that you all are bright enough, you're all embodying that brightness. And by simply living and shining it, others will see it and gravitate towards that healing like a moth to a flame. Be open and ready and willing. The ego still tries to tell you that your career or your house or your kids or what car you drive or amount of money that you make are who we are. How silly is that? The human mind tries to make sense of things by putting things into boxes, which dims people. It dims those pins of light on the ball of Christ consciousness. You will always be taken care of. Have you all ever not had a roof over your head? Ever gone hungry or not had water? Ever not had clothes on your back? No, we've been here all along, patiently waiting for you to open the box that you put yourself in when you forgot. Now that you've killed the ego in a massive way and tossed the box in the garbage, your light is so bright so that you can see us now. We in the universe, Christ consciousness, won't let you live in poverty because if you did, you would not be able to fulfill your purpose in this lifetime. You've all done this work before and are going to do it on the largest scale your soul has done yet. Are you ready? We love you and are here for you and can be called upon anytime. Now go and spread the embodied message of light, of Christ consciousness, of the unconditional love that is pouring out of you and radiating off of you at all times.
You're not crying.
You're not crying, I'm crying.
You're not crying. I'm crying. I'm not crying. You're crying.
So I hope that portion of it resonates with you all at home. I'm sure that it will because you're part of our community. And I woke up in the middle of the night not remembering writing any of that. I remembered the dream, but I felt like when I woke up, I was like, they told me something. I was like, did I write it down? And I went and immediately opened my notes app and it was just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that, again, it was many pages, but that was one of the things that was channeled in that dream that was beautiful. So to my fellow lovely blue being, Chandra, what you got in that sweet notebook of yours, girl?
I just wanted to say, not only the dreams, like after we started doing that and we're astral traveling together, my morning meditations took a turn.
Ooh. Yeah. I'd be sitting in my classroom reading your text message and I'm like, y'all shut the hell up and sit down. Okay. Chandra's channeling God right now, you know.
But I mean, it was magical. I went into the Akashic Records and kind of got taken up through a portal and into a golden room. And I'm looking at the statue and I feel like I need to kneel at the statue. And as I kneel at the statue, Jesus is there doing healing over me. And when I look up, the statue turns into a golden eagle and grabs me and takes me through another portal in the ceiling. And I feel like I'm in outer space because all I see is black and these little pinpoints of light. And I almost feel weightless and I'm just, floating through. And I don't remember coming back into the Akashic Records, but I know that I did. And so, of course, I just start texting everybody. I just went to outer space.
Happy Tuesday.
It was early.
Yeah. I went to visit the Blues. They didn't come to me this time. But the next day, I did another meditation, and that's when I saw the ball of light. And they were telling me that each point on the ball of light represented consciousness. It was all that is. And each little pinprick of light is us, is all the lives that have been lived and all the bodies that have been lived. And to simplify it, it was like when the pinpoint of light is turned inward toward the inside of the ball, that's when we're in spirit and we understand love and all that is. And then the pinprick will turn outward, and that's when we forget, when that soul is in a lifetime. And there's tears streaming down my face and I'm texting everybody. But I feel like a lot of that information was opened to me because of some of the healing and some of the releasing stuff that we've done in dreams in the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is everybody needs to go make a jar.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too.
I think we'll share that recipe as far as that astral travel jar for sure.
Yeah, that's some pretty crazy stuff. And that's beautiful, Chandra. Like, you have channeled so much information just since we did that in the last, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow. It's like deep soul level stuff that's
it's been
connected to spirit, the spirit, our spirits.
Yes. Well, astral travel doesn't have to be done in dream time either.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So watch that white willow bark, y'all.
That's a whole nother podcast right there.
All right. So, wow, that's some deep stuff. I think.
Where do you go from there?
I know. I think we just got to close this all out and go make your own jar and let's all meet in the astral realms together, whether it's at nighttime or daytime.
Your flight is boarding.
Yeah.
We love you guys at home for listening. And you specifically are the reason that we started this to begin with, was to create and cultivate a community. And so
where we could talk about our blue beings and our astral travel jars.
Yes.
And squatch.
Because we sense you, we feel you here with us in our community. And I hope that wherever and however you're listening, that we're part of yours. So we love and appreciate you.
And maybe at some point we'll hold a jar magic class for our listeners.
In the triad.
If anyone's interested. Yeah.
Absolutely. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So we love you guys. Comment, tell us what your crazy dreams have been. I mean, the good crazy.
No, I want to hear them all.
And we'll see you on the next episode. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
As Squatch would say.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.